They hold 21% of the world's surface freshwater, stretch across 2 countries, and shape the economy, security, and climate of an entire continent. Welcome to the Great Lakes, the true water superpower of North America. When we think of global superpowers, we often think of military might or economic dominance. But what if the next major force isn't a country or a currency, but a body of water? In this video, we'll explore how the Great Lakes impact everything from agriculture to geopolitics, how they became one of the most valuable freshwater reserves on Earth, and why they could be the stage of future environmental and strategic battles. Stick around until the end to find out which country might gain the upper hand in the coming freshwater wars. The Great Lakes region includes 5 interconnected freshwater lakes: Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and Lake Ontario. Together, they form the largest group of freshwater lakes on Earth by surface area, and the second largest by total volume, after Lake Baikal in Russia. Spanning over 750 miles, 1,200 kilometers, from west to east, they touch 8 US states and 2 Canadian provinces: Ontario on the Canadian side and Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York on the US side. They are all connected by natural straits and rivers, forming a vast inland waterway that leads to the Atlantic Ocean via the St. Lawrence River. That makes them a vital artery for trade and transportation. Formed around 14,000 years ago during the last ice age, the Great Lakes were carved out by glaciers. As the massive ice sheets melted, they filled the basins with fresh water. For millennia, indigenous peoples lived along the lakes, using them for transportation, food, and spiritual meaning. When European settlers arrived, the lakes became critical to the colonization and industrialization of North America. In the 19th and 20th centuries, the lakes were vital during the fur trade, the Industrial Revolution, and even wartime efforts. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, and Toronto grew rapidly along their shores, transforming into major economic centers. The Great Lakes support an enormous regional economy, generating over $6 trillion in economic activity annually. Key sectors include shipping, with over 160 million tons of cargo moved across the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway every year. Manufacturing, Detroit and the Rust Belt relied heavily on the lakes for transport and water supply. Agriculture, the surrounding region has rich soil and a moderate climate, both influenced by the lakes, and fishing and tourism. Recreational fishing, boating, and tourism generate billions annually. The port of Duluth, for instance, is the farthest inland ocean port in the world. Goods from Europe can travel 2,300 miles inland, reaching Minnesota. Despite their power, the lakes are also vulnerable. Pollution from industrial waste, urban runoff, and agricultural chemicals has severely affected water quality. In the 1960s and 70s, Lake Erie was declared dead due to algal blooms from phosphorus runoff. Invasive species such as zebra mussels and Asian carp have disrupted native ecosystems, costing billions in damages. Climate change is causing more frequent storms, declining ice cover, and rising temperatures that threaten fish populations and coastal communities. Low water levels due to droughts can paralyze shipping. Preserving the Great Lakes isn't just an environmental issue, it's a geopolitical imperative. Here's where the real power lies: freshwater scarcity is a growing global crisis. By 2025, half the world's population is expected to live in water-stressed areas. In contrast, the Great Lakes are a secure freshwater reserve. Why it matters: climate migration. As droughts increase elsewhere in the US and Mexico, the Great Lakes region could see an influx of people. Agricultural shifts. Water-rich regions like this will become more important as arid zones suffer crop failures. Geopolitical leverage. Countries with freshwater may hold negotiating power in global affairs. there are already legal battles over how much water can be diverted from the lakes. The Great Lakes Compact, 2008, restricts bulk water exports outside the basin, but future political pressure could test these agreements. Do you think water will become more valuable than oil in our lifetime? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us which Great Lake you'd want to live near and why. Because the lakes span two countries, cooperation is essential. The International Joint Commission, IJC, formed in 1909, manages water disputes and pollution control. Successful collaborations include binational cleanup of Lake Erie, monitoring invasive species, and shared research and scientific data. But tensions do arise, particularly over commercial usage and pollution standards. Canada, for example, often has stricter environmental regulations, while the US has faced cuts to environmental funding in recent years. The fate of the lakes depends on continued collaboration. More than 40 million people rely on the Great Lakes for drinking water. Major cities include Chicago, draws its water from Lake Michigan; Toronto, on the shores of Lake Ontario; Detroit, grew because of lake-based trade; and Cleveland, Milwaukee, Buffalo, Duluth, all dependent on lake access. These cities also face unique risks: flooding from rising lake levels, infrastructure erosion, and economic decline if lake health deteriorates. Investing in green infrastructure and sustainable water use is becoming a priority. So what does the future hold for the Great Lakes? Water diplomacy. Expect tighter international agreements and conflict resolution mechanisms. Climate resilience. Cities around the lakes will become testbeds for adaptation strategies. Eco-tech innovation. From algae cleanup drones to smart water grids, technology will play a key role. Population shifts. As southern US states heat up, migration northward to water-rich zones may accelerate. The Great Lakes could become not just North America's lifeline, but its most valuable geopolitical asset. If you've made it this far, you're clearly into geopolitics and geography. So hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments, should access to fresh water be a human right or a trade commodity? We want your opinion. The Great Lakes are more than just beautiful bodies of water. They're the silent giants of North American power, economically, politically, and environmentally. As freshwater becomes the next global flashpoint, the Great Lakes region may find itself at the very heart of the 21st century's most important battles. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.